convener presented. Thank you very much. Good morning and cordial greetings. Everybody who is in attendance is welcome physically, and also those who are remotely following the proceedings are highly welcome. My name is Dr. Ray Zembe. I've been asked by the convener and presenter at this press conference, shall I say media conference, who has asked me to chair the proceedings. And I gladly accepted the honor from the convener presenter, Honorable Advocate Sikhala, who has something to deliver to the nation today. According to the chairman's agenda I have here, after introducing myself as a peace and governance professional, I'm moving on to announce the purpose of this meeting. And the purpose of this meeting is for Advocate Sikhala to make his statement of the nation address. And I must emphasize that this is a national and international event. We have gladly noted the presence of His and Her Excellencies, representing many countries outside Zimbabwe, who are equally in the service of this nation and their nations. So you are very, very welcome, His and Her Excellencies. I'm sure I've already welcomed the esteemed members of the Fourth Estate, that is the media, both formal and social media. And these days we notice that the media, the ICT revolution, is actually driving developments in the world. The more, the merrier. Having stated the purpose, that it is the statement of the country address. Some say SONA, some say SOCA, or to rhyme SONA and SOCA. This is the position that the convener presenter has taken, that after delivering his message to the people of Zimbabwe, he will give the nation the time to digest, and then at a later stage make follow-ups for any businesses arising from the delivery. He's very much aware of the fact that since his release from Shikurubi maximum security prison a couple of days ago, a lot of things have since happened that he has seen, he has heard, and as a person who had been taken away from the open society for nearly 2 years, and at the same time there were a lot of political activities happening in the country, covering a general election that was held last year on the 23rd of August. And that since at the time he was a member of parliament representing Zambezi West, that was another issue in addition to the political developments that were taking place during the time of his absence. And also as a practicing lawyer. And at the time he was handling the case of a brutally murdered citizen, More Blessings Ali. And so those three public occupations were consolidated in his mind, and it was his concern. So 2 years would sound like 27 years, really. A lot was going through. He's a family person. He'd also been removed from his family. He's a political leader, also been removed from his associates. And the right to association is a fundamental right. The right to conscience, to the freedom to think, can't be resisted by any human being. Even if you are put in a cul-de-sac, you will still think. No one of us can resist the power of thought because it's given by the Creator. Having said that, let me move to the introduction briefly of the presenter, convener presenter. Honorable Sikhala answered his calling at the age of 14 years. He was still a teenager. Way back during the time of those who remember of the Zimbabwe Unity Movement, which was launched in May 30, 1989. And the Zimbabwe Unity Movement was a political vehicle that was presented to the nation to reject the one-party state agenda that the ZANU-PF political party was bent on achieving in this country at the 1990 general election. So, leader, Honorable Sikhala, at 14 years, supported at his age that call to stop the legal or legislated constitutional one-party state movement. Ever since, he has been through many significant political formations in the country, from the Zimbabwe Unity Movement, which then later rebranded to the Democratic Party, and then right through to his university activities as a leader in the Student Representative Council. And in the year, I think 1996, when he joined the University of Zimbabwe, he was elected to be the chairperson of the Information and Publicity Portfolio in the first year. So the learners at the time had seen something peculiar, that advocate, Job Sikhala, had. Then he went on. At that same time, the Zimbabwe National Students Union was formed, taking on board all students of higher tertiary institutions. He was again an inaugural leader in that student movement, right through to the formation of a civic movement that sought a people-driven democratic constitution in this country, the National Constitutional Assembly. In 1997, he was a founder member, and at the same time, bringing the constituencies of students' movements on board. And the formation of the National Constitutional Assembly gave birth to the formation of the Movement for Democratic Change political movement. headed by the inaugural president, Dr. Morgan Richard Tsvangirai, and our esteemed convener and presenter was a founder member of that political movement. And he held a portfolio for security, if I remember well. I stand to be corrected. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow citizens, Advocate Job Sikhala is a veteran politician who has now matured, and today, as he is going to unravel to the nation through your good offices as the conveyors of professional information to the citizens of this country and beyond the boundaries of Zimbabwe, in fact, the whole world. I'm sure that I have done my bit at this stage. Let me say that he has also been having running battles in the country. He has been arrested 67 times before the current arrest, charged in the courts and acquitted. So on the 14th of June, 2022, this was the 68th time. And everybody, I think you are witnessing a bouquet of frivolous charges that he is facing. And I'm sure that that aspect, for the time being in this presentation, is still in the murky waters. And since he has got many portfolios, national portfolios, he will let that lie for the moment. This is why he has introduced a new method of reaching out to the people, like this inaugural presentation, where he has appointed the chairperson and those flanking him here to make his State of the Nation address. He has been in prison for 595 days without bail. Therefore, since his constitutional right was violated by the state to have bail, if you are an accused person, we then say he has been a political prisoner for 595 days, close to the next 100, 600 days. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to have the honor to invite our convener, presenter, Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala, to make his presentation to the nation. Advocate, take the floor.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Ulaizebe, the chairperson of this presser today. I welcome all of you, members of the Fourth Estate. I also would like to welcome all ambassadors who have come to hear the message, who are also present at this press conference. I'm seeing Honorable Morgan College seated at the corner there. He is with us at this press conference in solidarity with the message that we are going to deliver today. I also see another major political player seated at the corner, Chris McCarthy, who has also joined us today. I welcome all of you, gentlemen, to this press conference. We are going to distribute our statement to all His Excellencies who are here, and also to the member of the Fourth Estate, to get their copies so that there will be no distortion of the message that is going to be delivered here today. for nearly 2 years, since the 14th of June 2022 to January 30, 2024, I was a subject of repression and kept in prison being denied bail. I took the challenge in the stride, taking it as we go. When you are under attack, I learned not to panic, but repel everything thrown at you and use it to sustain oneself against all adversities. This experience that I went through during almost 2 years in prison hardened me, ladies and gentlemen. There is nothing that will be thrown at me that will either shake or frighten me. In reflection, after such a long period of isolation from your colleagues, associates, and family, when I came out, I issued the following Thanksgiving statement. I open quote marks. For nearly 2 years, I suffered in my oppressor's dungeon. You prayed for me to be released from the jaws of my tormentors. You clamored loudly for my release as you knew that I was innocent. You stood with my family. I am crying as I type this statement. Your love strengthened me throughout. I deeply understand the pain and agony we shared together during the period of my unmitigated oppression. But let me reassure all of you that I am prepared to pay any price for the love of my country. That I am prepared to pay any price for the love of Zimbabwe. That I am prepared to pay any price in defense of democracy, freedom, and the happiness of our people. To all Zimbabweans in the country and in diaspora, I thank you. Let me thank all progressive organizations in politics, in the media, civic society, student bodies, professionals, members of parliament, both domestically and internationally, for ceaselessly condemning the tyrannical persecutions perpetrated upon me by my enemies. Let me also thank members of the diplomatic corps from world democracies and Africa, whose solidarity was priceless. Let me also thank world governments who remained alert to what was transpiring on my persecution. To the Free Job Sikhala Solidarity Movement, you were the missing link in the equation. To my lawyers, words alone are insufficient to express my gratitude. To my Sikhala and family, thank you very much for your love. With all my love, may the Almighty God bless all of you. If I omitted or overlooked to thank others who devoted their time, energy, and emotions for my freedom, my sincere apologies. I sincerely thank you. The new democratic culture, which we will ever strive to achieve, even if it means with our own blood, does not absolve me from criticism or omissions which I could have done. This is the cornerstone of a democratic struggle we have been engaging in and which we desire to build in Zimbabwe. It is said that for the past 2 years when I was in prison, things have turned for the worse. I still found people in abject poverty, struggling for a meal a day, shrinking democratic space, entrenched dictatorship, fear and hopelessness of the direction the country is going. Elections came and went when I was in prison, amid an extreme toxic political environment and the clamor for economic and electoral reforms. Before going any further, any form of electoral process in our country under the same usual conditions and without the necessary reforms to deliver the will of the people has been a challenge confronting us as Zimbabwe since the emergence of the mass democratic struggle in our country. This is the center of the democratic struggle for any future political trajectory in Zimbabwe. The call for reforms shall be the forte of our struggle and shall position and give the people of Zimbabwe a golden chance to choose leaders of their own choice. The question to ask is whether the mass democratic struggle is going to achieve a different result from our experiences of the past. What is the strategy? I'll come to this question at a later stage. What is currently happening in the opposition is not uncommon. It is the common political strategy that has been happening and implemented by despots throughout the world down the centuries. Mobutu Sese Seko used the same strategy of distributing patronage and buying of individuals in opposition ranks to destroy and disorganize it by exploiting the discovered weaknesses in the opposition superstructure. During the mass democratic revolt against imperialism and colonialism in our country, the Rhodesian kingpin, Ian Douglas Smith, implemented the strategy with perfection to the extent of delivering an internal settlement. Series of apartheid leaders applied the same strategy and tactics and ended up establishing homelands which purportedly gave a facade of independence to black self-governed enclaves. Dear Zimbabweans and worldwide friends, Zimbabwe is at the crossroads. Coming back to the question whether the mass democratic struggle in our nation is going to achieve a different result from our experiences of the past. Yes, it will. Yes, it will be. How? Our seemingly unsurmountable struggle for freedom and emancipation needs everyone on board, whether black, white, or yellow. It is our challenge together. Our struggle should not be restricted by narrowness, lack of initiative, and hesitation. The question on what to do next is answered by the authors and the originators of the mass democratic struggle in Zimbabwe. Who are the people who in February 1999 spoke through the People's Working Convention where all constituent bodies were represented? The Working People's Convention was an affirmation to Martin Luther King Jr.'s proclamation that there comes a time when people get tired of being trampled over by the iron feet of oppression. There comes a time when people get tired of being flung across the Alps of humiliation, where they experience the bleakness of naked destiny. The weaknesses of our 1999 approach was that the meeting of the constituent bodies was heavy at the top, with only ZCQ having grassroots structures. It was the meeting of constituent bodies at the national level, with less participation from the shop floor and village level, which eventually led to the clash of egos. Zimbabwe needs a way forward to answer the national question of where to from here. The way forward on what should be done from here will come from the people through a mass nationwide democratic consultative process. The national consultative process will convene the nationwide democratic consultative conventions. The consultative process will involve all important constituent bodies. That is the general masses of our people: labor, students, traditional leaders, churches, civic society, our business persons, professionals, resident associations, informal traders, women clubs, farmers, peasants, youth organizations, progressive political organizations, war veterans, war collaborators, artists, corporate business sector, and people living with disabilities. It will start from the village
to the ward, district and provincial level. This process will be conducted by the representatives of different constituent bodies mentioned above at every level. The process will eventually lead to the convening of the National People's Democratic Convention. The input and ideas that will come from the people will be collected and coalesced by the National Democratic Task Force, made up of seconded persons from different constituent bodies who will be conveners of the National Democratic People's Convention. Each ward in this process shall elect a delegate to attend the National People's Democratic Convention, which will debate the views collected and coalesced during the Democratic Consultative Conventions, yet held at shop floor and grassroots level throughout the country. This will be our guide to the future. Critics are pointing out that some constituent bodies have been hijacked by some people, like what they have done to the Triple C. Let me give you as an example. Bodies such as the ZCTU or any other constituent body do not mean persons at leadership level. ZCTU is the worker who is at the shop floor level. It is not its leadership. There is no ward, district or province without a student, a worker or a church elder. These are the ones that will constitute the Democratic Consultative Convention. Therefore, there will be no one left without being consulted, from Malipati to Matusadola, from Kotwa to Manama, from Spepa to Mzalabad. We are embodied by the declaration of Nelson Mandela that action without vision is only passing time. Vision without action is merely daydreaming, but vision with action can change the world. We are not here to pronounce the emergence of a political organization, but a broad-based mass democratic movement for everyone in advancement of the mass democratic struggle in the fashion of the United Democratic Front of the 1980s in apartheid South Africa. This is motivated in remembrance of the great ideals held by many Zimbabweans who perished during the period of the liberation struggle, and those who died since the resuscitation of the goals and aspirations of the mass democratic struggle in Zimbabwe in February 1999. Dala Costa had this message for all leaders. Do not promise what you cannot deliver. Do not misrepresent. Do not hide behind spin-doctor divisions. Do not suppress obligations. Do not evade accountability. Do not accept the survival of the fittest pressures. We promise that we will stand by our word and deliver in terms of our part. We are not men and women of empty threats. We are decisive in our declarations. The mass democratic struggle is people-driven and owned. Every struggle waged throughout the world down the centuries had succeeded when people own it. The masses must own the next decisive stage of our struggle. Whether I will be there with you or not, as my enemies have not shelved their plans to assassinate me for the sins best known to themselves, this process must proceed uninhibited to finality. With or without resources, the people shall carry out this most important task in the decisive phase of our history, and our people struggle against tyranny for freedom, for their freedom, dignity, and prosperity. To all those who have retained their democratic right to cling to the Triple C carcass, I wish them all the best in their project. We pray to the God of David to give us the strength not to be shaken by the antics of our enemies, and to bless the fruits of our labor and efforts. I thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Honorable Advocate Job Sikhala. I must conclude by making it known that I'm sure you have heard the voice of a person who owns a Bachelor of Arts in History and Economic History, Bachelor of Laws, Honors, LLB, all from the University of Zimbabwe, and Master of Laws from Midlands State University. I must say here that I was instructed, as I already indicated in my opening remarks, that the wish of our convener presenter is that the statement he has proposed to the nation, the idea, the vision, is quite packed, and that he is allowing the nation and the international community to digest, and thereafter make any follow-ups in terms of matters arising. He would be glad to handle it. Ladies and gentlemen, you will understand that he's still in turbulent waters legally, and that he knows his boundaries as a professional. And he's pleading with the audience here that if you can kindly reserve the questions and answer segment, defer it to a future date. You will always be there, available to respond to inquiries, as he has done today. This was the day. With your concurrence, please kindly allow me to declare the proceedings closed. And I'm sure that I'm told the etiquette is, if it is a State of the Nation address, usually the nation digests and then makes follow-up. In Parliament, you have your nomenclature. It is the maiden speech, is it, Honorable Sikhala, that a new member of Parliament delivers to the nation through the Assembly. And very often, there are no interferences. Just plead with our convener presenter. I understand the situation. So thank you very much for your time, everybody who was following these proceedings.